Hi everybody. So what we're going to do in this video is bring in another image from the outside and bring it in as its own layer on top of this, and possibly even another image on top of that, just so we can see what we can do with it. Get rid of the background on one of the layers, maybe do a little bit of retouching, working with the healing brush, a few other things. Alright, so I'm just going to go ahead and unlock this background for good habit. You could duplicate it, it's not totally necessary, but you could do that if you want to. So how do I do that? I'm going to go ahead and go to Layer, and I'm going to Open Image as Layer. That's how you bring in an image on top of another image on its own layer. It's not going to open up to its own separate file. I'm just going to go ahead and open it up so it's now going to be on top of this layer. So now notice I have two layers here, right? And that's going to give us much more freedom of control and all that other stuff. So this is way too big, but what I'm going to do first of all, just for good practice and good habits, is I'm going to go ahead and double click and rename that, call this BG, okay? And how am I going to go ahead and resize this is I'm going to go and select the layer, go up to Edit, and Free Transform. That's going to allow me to get this bounding box and resize it. So I'm holding down my Shift key, and now I can move this wherever I want to. I've got a nice size, everything like that. Okay? So again, layer on top of layer. So just imagine whatever you may want to do with other things on top of other things. You can do that. So in the class, what did I do? I had those three birds, right? First of all, it was one bird, and it had a background. And then I got rid of the background, and then I duplicated it. All right, so I'll show you how we can do that in a second. But the key thing is those birds were not actually there, but I brought them to be there by doing what I just did with the image and then open up this new layer. Okay, now, how do I get rid of this background here so it just kind of floats there? So I'm just going to go and zoom in a little bit. Let's apply the changes, of course. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Remember this should be some good review. And then I can come in just like that. And this is going to give me a little more control over what I'm selecting. So I want to get rid of this, so just the tiger's just kind of hanging out there. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this wand tool. So the wand selects colors that are similar to the colors that I've just selected. So if I click on this, notice how it just kind of went, all of that black got selected. So I'm going to hit delete on my keyboard, and then bam, that gets deleted. I click on that, right? That gets selected. Now there's too much here because this color is too much like the color on his face here. So I'm going to go ahead and deselect, and remember, go to Edit, deselect, very, very important tool to remember. Deselect so you can start over again. Still with my magic wand tool selected, I'm going to bring my tolerance down so it doesn't select so much stuff. So I'm going to bring that down just like that, and 8 looks like it's pretty good. Do it again with this one. Not bad. You might have to do it a few times, and if you don't get it right with all of it, you can always come back and use, guess what? The eraser tool. So I'm going to go ahead and deselect, and see now, not so bad, not perfect, so that's why I'm going to use this erase tool, and then notice my eraser tool is here, and also notice the size of the eraser tool, right? So it's kind of small, kind of puny. It might take me a little bit too long to do it this way. Sometimes small is good because you can kind of get into these little nooks and crannies. For right now, I'm going to make it a little bit bigger by going to the diameter, about that big, and then I can just go ahead and just erase everything I want. And when you've zoomed in, you can really kind of just get right on the edges if you want to do that. Okay? So you see all those little smudges there. I can easily get rid of those. Sorry about his whiskers, but that's just going to have to be what's going to have to be. But you know what? I could always use the clone stamp tool. Maybe that's what I'll do. Okay, so I come into here and do that. Come into there. Okay, and then make it a little bit of a smoother edge, just like that. You see now it's just kind of floating there. Okay, not bad. And if I really, really wanted to, this would be a good example of zooming in and also decreasing the size. I'm not going to do it, but let me just show you. I would zoom in, right, and then I would decrease the size of the eraser tool and just kind of get right inside there. See how much control it gives you? You know, just all the stuff you can do. But I'm not going to do that right now in this video, but I want you to kind of take that hint to be able to do that on your own. Okay, come back, All right, so not a bad job. So let me just go ahead and move him / her up there. So it just kind of like looks like it's kind of just looking on in just like that. All right, now I'll just do something else. People asked about this. I'm going to go ahead and click on this, and then I'm going to go ahead and clone this, right, just by right-clicking, saying duplicate layer. I've got another one, tiger copy, just like that. Okay? Now, a few people asked about, well, how did you make it sort of like they're kind of looking at each other? All right, so I'm going to have this here and this one there, but guess what? I'm going to go to this free transform tool, and I'm just going to flip it just by doing this and then that. Actually, that looks kind of cool, so I'm going to do this. So this is kind of like, sorry, this one is just sort of like in there like that, so you can barely kind of see it. Okay, and you see how I did that? Again, I just flipped it just from one side to the other. Okay? All right, so that's working with the wand tool. Now let me go ahead and zoom in a little bit, and let's just imagine that this is a very vain, self-conscious tiger here. And you know what? They don't like this little spot here. We want to make it sort of perfect. So what we're going to do is we're going to work with this healing brush tool, the spot heal tool. Okay, it's the simplest tool in the world to work with. All right, so let's make sure that I'm on the right layer. So good idea now, since I have two, I'm going to call this tiger left. Good practices, not tiger copy, but tiger right. So I know which is which. And again, see, that's left, and the other one's on the right-hand side. Okay, now I know which one I'm working with, and very simply I'm going to use this spot heal brush. Okay, I'm going to make that a little bit bigger. Remember, everything's a brush in these things, some of these cases. Okay, you see that? Now, the spot heal brush basically just understands that this is a spot that you may not want. So all it does is just sample around the thing that you've selected and then just fills it in. Done. Let's imagine that's a problem. Click on it. Okay, probably not the best. There's too much going on there. So maybe I would actually make a bigger brush in that case. Sometimes we just have to be a little forgiving. And also zooming in helps as well. No, didn't like that one. Okay. I would probably zoom in on that one as well. So I'll go ahead and undo there as well. But I would probably zoom in and I would go right into that little black dot there. So that one didn't work quite as good as the first one. Sometimes bigger ones won't work as well. And again, zooming in will really help you out. Okay. All right. So those are a few different tools. And then I'll show you how you can work with also the clone stamp tool. All right. Now this one's a little bit more complex. So what we're doing is I'm going to clone some of these whiskers so I can bring them back out again. All right. Because they're gone. Right? But I want to clone them, so I was like, you know what? I want to bring them back. So I'm going to zoom in. Zooming in is always good so you can get the detail. And I'm going to choose the clone stamp tool, which is this little stamp right here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to clone something and then stamp it back out. Right? So for example, I like, let's say, these whiskers here, and I want to clone them back out again. I have no idea what this is going to do, so be patient with me. So the key thing is when you're doing clone stamp is you have to hold down the control key. If you're on the Mac, it might be FN control or it could be command. All right, because the control key when you click does something else. So pay attention to that if you're on the Mac. But you're going to see this little crosshair, and when you click, you clone. And then when you let go of the control key and then click again, you stamp. See that? I'll do that one more time, and I'll do it with another one. Right? So this time I'm actually going to make the brush a little bit smaller, and I'm also going to zoom in a little bit more. Okay, so you can see these good details. All right, let's go to here. Probably also a little bit smaller. Okay, so I like this and I want to apply it again. So I'm going to go ahead and just do Control, click, and then I bring in some more. Right, so Control, click, so I'm bringing in some more. So I'm basically just cloning this to apply it again and again and again. And because we're so zoomed in, a lot of the detail that we see here, you actually might not see when you kind of come in the naked eye. And notice how this little kind of like yellow stuff is coming out, right? You can always clone back over that, right? So, oh, you know what, let's get some yellow here, and then clone back on top of it. Clone, stamp, right? So I'm kind of going right back onto it. Okay, so clone, stamp, right? Clone, stamp, and you can even kind of do like some long ones. Okay, so again, it's not totally perfect, all right, but I want you to kind of at least get the idea for it. So let me go ahead and zoom back out. All right, so we can kind of see what it looks like and all the work that we've done here. Okay, so I think that's about it for what we did in class. All right, but remember again, okay, you can go to Layer, Open Image as Layer, all right, to bring in some stuff from the outside. And then check out some of the other videos. Don't forget about all the ones we did with layer masks, right, to bring out, you know, we did a frame, did some other things with like a brush to go on top of it, to do different shapes and sizes. Remember with layer masks, it's about black and white, right, or just black in this case. Okay, and then also with layer styles, practice those. Got a lot of stuff covered, but really go back and watch all those videos to get some review and practice, watch them again, but make sure you don't just watch them, you actually try to do the stuff that we did all throughout the semester and term. Okay, and I think that's how I'm going to end it. If you have any questions, next week is our last week, and I look forward to seeing you, and look forward to seeing you in the potluck that we're going to be doing as well. Feel free to bring something or not, and let me know if you have any questions. All right, had a lot of fun this term. Thanks again. Bye-bye.